Okay, Women Up
Woman
Wax. We got to
up.
go in hot. Episodes are going to be less than 15 minutes, mostly because we don't know how to load longer videos on YouTube. So that's how this is going to go down. Trying to bring this to your screens as
means
quickly as possible.
which means the lisps might come out a little bit faster.
Lisp, yeah. I got Invisalign. This is like I'm rounding out my last bit of it. So my all my teeth are in new spots, and my orthodontist is like, all right, Krista, I always said Krista, whoever you know me as. She's like, it's time, and I was like, it's time for what? She's like, it's time to go to the speech therapist. Now that your teeth are
Wait
in
a
the right
minute. I
place.
thought the teeth fixing was gonna not let me have to go to the speech therapist.
No. She was like, what happens is your muscles want your teeth to be where they were. So I have to get like permanent retainers on the top
You
and the
do
bottom.
know that my name is Steffi Thamaris.
Girl, don't even. My name is Krista Samaras. Like, the thing is, you don't have what I have, which is like,
No.
I do like a Drew Barrymore thing. Like, I have a whole thing happening. But anyway, that we digress.
Yes.
We are here in whatever, week 2, week 3. We're not going to be able to say. This is our second episode talking about the games. We talked a little bit on the front end of Syracuse, Maryland, and we talked the front end of Princeton, Virginia. We talked the front end of Northwestern and BC. And now that we have the results of that in Sanity, though we knew Syracuse, Maryland. So that was 20-11. Weirdly, Princeton, Virginia was the same score in Virginia's favor. It was wild. And then, of course, Northwestern upset BC with the score of 15-14 or 16-15 or something like that.
15-14, and it was interesting because BC led the entire game until the last basically like 3 minutes of the game.
Okay, so let's boil it down. Like, what do you think the problem is? Defense. I mean, what do you think the problem is?
Defense.
And why? Like, we
Well,
were talking about a number of reasons why.
Like, defenses are just Donkey Kong right now. And I think that we forget sometimes that, like, those are the things that, you and I have talked about this before. Like, those are the things in April that, like, save games. Defenses in March right now, like, there's a different thing that they're working on than what the attackers are working on. The attackers, like, can actually see each other, and they're looking at each other, and they're reading, like, winks and head nods and moves, and like they're preparing for like the dodge that their teammate's going to do. The defense is like, one, scouts are horrible right now. Scouts are horrible.
No, that's not horrible. The scouts are deficient.
Well,
You don't
sorry.
have things to
They're
react
horrible
to.
because you're going on last year's scout. You're going
Well, you're
on
going
what
on the
the
fall.
team
You're going on
looked
the fall.
Uh,
The fall. Steffi, also, can I just say, your head is on the left side. Can you put it in the middle? Like, do you not? Welcome to the Zoom era. It happened like 3 years ago. Are you serious? Dude, yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. So you're saying essentially that scouts for defense right now, like, first of all, defenses are playing against their attacks.
Yeah.
So they're not seeing, like, they're seeing stuff they're familiar with versus stuff they're unfamiliar with.
Yes.
Second is scouts are deficient because there is lack of understanding of
Yes.
teams. So, like, the defense always starts with a lag. Though you could see in that Northwestern BC game, when both teams were annihilating each other in the first half, like, by the end, the defense had already reacted. So if you can imagine the whole season being an ability to know what you're up against and plan
both
for it.
teams played defenses that we won't see them play later in the season. Like,
Why?
they were both in man-to-mans, which is not typical of a BC and a Northwestern. They are typically in some form of a backer because
And you do think that they're just trying to mitigate the offensive threats and figure out what's happening?
I think that what's really smart is that until, old school defender here under Heather Dow, which who she
Dude, Heather Dow was on the sidelines coaching her butt off
I
for
know.
UVA.
And like literally the best defensive coach ever. Yes, I'm biased. UVA.
Okay, I think she is too. I got to play for her on the U.S.
Yes,
team, but
so,
I
like-
would argue that Karen Brower at Penn
Oh, okay.
is
Yes.
an incredible
Yes.
defensive
But
coach.
like one thing, if there's one thing I learned from Heather, it's that you can't have an amazing zone defense until your man-to-man is better than your zone. Like, you can't do it. And you have to understand, you have to have the trust. And the man-to-man creates the trust of the 7 girls playing defense, which then allows your zone or backer or whatever we want to call it these days, because it's being called 1,000 different things. Like, whatever we want to call it, that's what it builds all of that. And I think that takes longer than attacks finding some like symmetry.
Right. Well, I mean, the attack, no, I disagree. I think that the attack actually takes a really long time to get the connection and the trust. But that can happen starting with your team in the fall, right? Like that can start happening. Defensively, you rely on the other
Team.
attack.
Yeah, you rely on the
And so, like, and you don't know it if you haven't seen it until you're there in it. And so I think that the teams are sending out like basically man-to-man defense to be like, what are we reacting to? And then they're having strategy that they can put together, which we saw in BC Northwestern. Yeah. They were just putting up a better defense in the second half. The scorers weren't able to, I mean, unless you're Izzy Skane. And if you're Amante, that Amante chick is like...
Well, it's not Amante
she came chick. To
it's
play.
Kelly's niece.
Well, she's still an individual in her own right, and she showed up in that game ready to play. She was serious.
She legit will be... I mean, she'll be on the Torton watch list in the next week or two.
She was so good in that game,
I also
and
think
just such a threat.
What we need to take into consideration here is that you don't know, specifically with the transfer portal, you don't know how these kids coming from other schools are going to mix with the current school that they're in and how that's going to play out. And every school has a transfer. I don't care, like, North Carolina has them, Maryland has them, BC has them, Northwestern.
Well, you're saying every school, like that's every school. First of all, there's like a million other schools that play lacrosse, and you just name the ones that are the best. So like that's not every school.
So
Let's just be real.
When you're going into a scout against one of them, like you don't know how this particular
but that's why the game is so much cooler now. Stephanie, the availability of video, the availability of the coaches have to be able to be good scouts, be good strategic coaches. They have to be able to have enough to play from and put together in terms of puzzle pieces in the game. And it becomes like, we've all watched games where it's like, wow, this coach literally outcoached that coach. Like you can tell coaching now.
You can tell. And one of the things that I really liked, like what, specifically, and we talked about this on episode 1, like, we didn't talk about the absence of Charlotte North, but I thought it was really interesting to see how BC played with the absence of Charlotte North, because Jen Medjid, typically who is their crease attacker, ended up doing a ton more on the elbow
out in front,
in place of Charlotte. And I was like, okay, this is great, which means either they've developed another crease person to help Jen around the crease to give her the ability to play on the elbow a little bit more. What I also found really interesting about Jen Medjid is she changed how she wore her hair.
Oh, okay. Well, she had a long ponytail.
So
what was it? What was it before?
Wore a bun last year.
Oh, interesting.
I do find that interesting.
Well, we should find out if that's a real thing or if it's just like she likes to change it up all the time.
I will.
Maybe it's just 2023. But I mean, I did not think that BC, first of all, I would say BC did not lose to Northwestern because Charlotte North wasn't playing. BC is comprehensively good. Uh-huh. I think a player like Charlotte North obviously can tilt the game in your favor in so many different instances. But I thought BC put up a really great game.
That's what I think BC wasn't prepared
Northwestern couldn't stop scoring.
Yeah, that's
they
what
just
I think
couldn't.
BC wasn't prepared for. They weren't prepared for Dylan Amante because they've never seen her play before.
Yeah.
This is her. She's a senior at Northwestern, and this is the first time that she's contributed minutes.
Well, also, how badass that, like, Izzy Skane is like, I understand that I'm a big pull. She literally distracted all the attention. Like, I'll take it. And then here you have Amante, and there's another girl, Taylor. Is her last name?
Addison Taylor.
She came in. And then who is the girl who made the goal at the end? Was it Boykin or somebody?
Kuykendall?
No, not Kuykendall. I love her too, but like she made this goal, and her feet were like pattering, and she was so happy.
It was her first ever collegiate goal.
It was insane, and I was just like the joy on her face. I swear, was amazing. So I feel like it was amazing of Izzy Skane to be able to. I mean, I feel like as a former superstar, you have to be able to take that attention away. And then when she got the ball, which by the way, they weren't not looking at her.
Yeah.
She was she was pulling the focus over to one side to make an opening lane, but when she got the ball, girl
she was, well, I think we saw a lot of similarities in the Princeton UVA game as well as along with the Northwestern Boston College game defensively, like these long one-on-ones where teammates didn't slide, and I don't know if that's on purpose.
Well, first of all, the setup of the isolation from the 12, I was like, oh, we still do this? What? I mean, there were so many isolation set up, and then no slides coming.
I'm sitting here, and she's one of my players of the week, Rachel Clark, but I was like, You guys know she's going to take the long 1v1 from the top, right? Everybody knows it for Princeton, right? Everybody, and still, it was just a one-on-one.
Yeah, the defense was not reacting well. Listen, they have great defenders.
I
There's
know.
no question about it. But you could just tell that they hadn't played against somebody else at a high level at pace. That was basically it. Now, UVA, let's not take anything away from UVA. UVA, I mean, it was so good. Rachel Clark was so good. And I'm telling you, Hogue is my girl.
I love
like
Hogue.
the backdoor queen is what I called her when I was on the broadcast. I was like, she's not trying to cut in front.
No.
She's trying to slip right behind. I mean, she was crazy. And Schwab delivery from back there is like,
I know.
I want to call her like, I don't even know, delivery.
She's like Hogue is so slick, and Schwab is so like,
capable.
Sly.
She's
so
always cutting.
I was loving watching them play because I was a little scared in the first quarter. I won't lie, a little scared because it was a little close. But like it was so fun to see them come together, and I feel like Ashley McGovern did the same thing that Izzy Skane did. She was like, "Whoa, okay, all right, everybody else is doing things. I don't."
But can we talk about Ashley McGovern for a second?
Yeah.
Because obviously I don't remember anything from last year. I did watch UVA play. I knew that she was coming as a heavily talented player, and we didn't see her have the ball in the first quarter, not even at all. But when she got the ball, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say that I wasn't impressed. That's not the point. The point is that she is so deliberate and so intentional, and she gets in there. She backs the defender up. I mean, it is like a relentless approach to cage that isn't fast. It isn't flashy, and yet
but you
so
can't
effective.
Stop it.
You can't stop it. I mean, really, I thought UVA was really great. I think that Princeton, you could tell that UVA had played 2 games and Princeton had played none. The stamina, the mental, the physical, and the executional stamina throughout the game, I think sort of like lacked in Princeton, and they need to catch that up. But let us just have a moment. Everybody, let's take 5 seconds.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Drop it, girl.
Shh. Nina Montez.
Oh, gosh.
Nina Montez.
Nina
Montez. If you don't know who Nina Montez is, you need to go check her
Google
out.
her.
This kid is a ball of fire. And by the way, she was good last year in her freshman year at Princeton.
She's a baller.
She's a baller. Times a million.
Yeah,
she was like, I was like, first of all, is she carrying a basketball? Did she just do a killer crossover? Is she Allen Iverson? I do not know.
She is.
I do not know.
Legitimately.
She is. She was like, and then she was like, and then she was like, it was so amazing.
When Virginia figured out what she was doing, then she was like, "Oh, you want me to feed now, girls? Okay, I'll feed
she
now."
fed. She was so good, and I said in a moment of emotion when I was on the broadcast, I was like, "It's like she has the spirit of Kyla Spears, and that she was doing everything for Princeton, like without overdoing it somehow. She was scoring, she was playmaking. I had never seen her carry the ball a lot last year as a freshman. She was just kind of put in there to do a quick step and then take a shot, but she was doing it all. And I was like, what did her off-season training plan look like? Because to me, when you are already good and every year you are growing and you're getting that much better individually, and then it's incorporated in your team, I mean, to me, she is like, I'm getting chills.
I got chills.
I'm getting chills
watching her play, and like,
Decca, your head is in the bottom left-hand corner again. How are you doing this? Can you not see?
My chair sort of just rolled away.
I don't understand. Why are you going into the bottom left-hand corner? There's a lot of space. You want the logo to be up here on your... Okay, let's go to players of the week. Let's go to players of the week. Who are your players of the week?
I'm going to go with Rachel Clark and Dylan Amonte.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Okay, anything else you want to say about Dylan Amonte?
Oh man, I can't wait to see her. I can't wait to watch the next game, because now they're going to be able to coach. Kelly and Scott and Alex Venetanos are going to be able to coach that team. I mean, they are probably just as surprised that she showed up and did what she did. So now,
you think?
I mean, I think so. Like, even if they weren't surprised, how cool is it now that they get to go into this week and prepare for their next game with being like, "Hello, 5-goal girl."
I seriously,
You know?
seriously, you're right. I guess like when you have 2 big offensive threats like that, but then of course you have to think about the pressure is on. So she's not used to managing the pressure at that level.
She's used to.
Right. Well, her dad is Tony
Amonte
Amonte
from the Nighthawks,
right?
and so like she's used to pressure.
Who are the Nighthawks?
Oh God, no, sorry, it's the Chicago Blackhawks.
I was like gonna say the Nighthawks, dude.
The Nighthawks are Army.
Also, Is it the nightshades? Are those the vegetables that you shouldn't really eat? The nightshades or the lampshades? The lamp nights? The night lamps? The nightshades? Mushrooms? Okay, people let us know. Okay, so then
she played for the
okay, Blackhawks. I was like the Nighthawks. I was like that's Kit and that's a Knight Rider. That's a Knight Rider. Okay, so okay, wait. So wait about and Rachel Clark. Can she? I mean, she is prolific when you talk about that awkward goal line extended, right hand up, headed down the right side of the crease. She's good at that. Can she do more than that?
I think that I do think she can do that more than that. I think Virginia was really surprised, which the first time I saw them, this is the first game I've seen them in probably a few years where like they looked like they were having fun. And it was a surprise.
They were. And Julie, I talked to Julie and she was like.
It was a surprise to them.
So Julie was like, we are trying to have a ton of fun. They just came off California.
Like it, though,
it looked like they were having fun. You're right. They were smiling, they were laughing.
As a former like Wahoo, like that's what I loved seeing was being like, they're having fun.
Yeah. Well, I think Rachel Clark is like, I mean, we talked about it last time, Charlotte North saying, I'm going to really good at this thing. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it again. And she was just like, they're giving me the lane and I'm going to like do this again. But she is 5'9". Before the game, you gave me the tip and then I said it on TV. She plays like she's 6'2". She is so strong.
Oh my God.
And she is so skilled and she is so fluid. So I love your picks this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with, my picks are Nina Montez, which I already talked a lot about. She's a player to watch for me. I'm so excited and I'm so glad that I get to do more of the Princeton games. And then I'm going to say it. La Liberty from Northwestern in the cage. We were talking about Charlotte North's confidence and how many more people can just own it. And this girl in cage, she was when she got, there were like a couple of calls that were kind of busted and goals went in and she was pissed. And I love that kind of energy. And then when she made that big save at the end, insanely great save, she was like pumping herself up. And I was like, yes. You know, Serena Williams was on Meghan Markle's podcast, the very first one. It's called,
Megan, just Google Megan.
Archetypes. And I was, of course, interested because I love Serena. I didn't know about Meghan Markle, but anyway, so she was talking to Serena and she was saying, you know, it's so unfair that you, as a woman, as a black woman in tennis, you're not allowed to be emotional because you get called on it. And Serena's like, and she's like, and the men are allowed to do it. And Serena's like, listen, I don't want the men to not be allowed. I just want to be allowed. Yeah. I don't think it's bad to show your emotion, particularly in a game like tennis. And I would say I would agree with Serena. Serena's like, showing your emotion because it matters to you is amazing to watch. As fans, we love it. And that's what La Liberty made me feel. I was like, she is obsessed with herself right now.
I think that's what gave Northwestern that spark. I mean, legitimately, like I've never seen, and we talked about this after the game, never seen a goalie be that emotional, both positive and negative, like results on whether a goal goes in or you make a huge save. And you literally saw the faces of her teammates like, holy crap, she can do it. We can do it. And
Kelly stuck with her,
I know.
Which I thought was like, it was so awesome. It was like the confidence that seemed to emanate from the defense back to Liberty. Every time a goal would go in, like it wasn't just like they were coming to help her. It was like they were just like unifying. It seemed from the outside. And you know, BC made a incredible coaching change. Incredible. I don't know. I mean, if it didn't work in the positive, I feel awkward trying to even talk about it because he took out Rachel Hall and they put in a younger goalie. And so I'm interested to maybe talk to Acacia about that decision because it was really interesting. But we digress. I think that breaking this down, this is our fast talking post week review. There was tons more games that happened.
Yeah. Wanted to bring up really quick, like we saw this 2 years ago. Jill Batchelor from Drexel is now the Villanova coach. We saw what she did with that Drexel program a few years ago, and Villanova beat St. Joe's. I think Alex Cahoe does an amazing job at St. Joe's. They made the tournament last year out of the A10. Villanova, and I can see that Jill is now in the second year of like a 3 to 4 year plan, and this team is going to come on strong. I also think USC over Ohio State. I didn't get to see that game. It'd be interesting to go back and watch it because I know Ohio State has been playing like really well. Also biased because I have a kid that's going to be at Ohio State next year. And then my last
is Amy's the coach there, right? From Stanford to what's her last name?
Umbach.
No, not Umbach. What you talking about?
Bacher. I mean, her maiden name is Umbach.
Yeah.
And then the next one that I thought was really awesome is Mercer over Virginia Tech. Like Mercer is that that program
Up and
out
coming.
of the
Yeah.
big
CAA, ACC,
no,
Florida,
it's like
Sunshine State.
the Sunshine Conference.
Sunshine, yeah.
And they typically have to beat like a High Point, which is also another team that runs like really well down in that Carolina. But Mercer over Virginia Tech, like Virginia Tech was like the ACC school last year that might have gone to the tournament.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I think that's
interesting. So let's do the poll for this week. I think is really interesting. North Carolina stays at number 1. Syracuse obviously slides to number 2. I think they were. I mean, it would be so interesting when Syracuse and North Carolina go head to head. Especially, I would love to see them early on because they're going to meet up somewhere down the line. Northwestern comes at number 3, so deserved. Boston College slips to number 4. Stony Brook breaks into the top 5. Maryland moves out of the top 5 into number 6. We got Florida after Maryland at 7. Loyola at 8. Rutgers at 9. Duke at 10. Virginia goes
Rutgers,
from number 1.
Rutgers is my sleeper this year. Rutgers is my sleeper.
Yeah, dude. Some of their clips I saw was so sick. But Virginia moves up number 1 from 13 to 12. It really interesting. And Princeton slips down from 16, I think they were, to 17. So just looking, you were talking about USC. They're at number 19. Yale's at number 21. I'm really interested in seeing Yale play. They had a ton of freshmen
I'm interested
last year.
in seeing UNC play, especially with their score over Florida, 12-5 over Florida. Like, I saw
5.
Florida play against Maryland, and I was like, not Maryland, sorry. Somebody else, I can't remember who it was. And, like, Florida's legit. I mean, they got that freshman from Severna Park. Yeah. Actually, whose mom was a Maryland girl, Teresa Bragg. She started and she played amazing from like a defensive midfielder standpoint, and then they got the transfer from North Carolina, which always throws a little goose egg in there.
It's so crazy. I mean, all this transfer thing. I got the chance to have coffee yesterday with Cindy Chimchel, and we were like just talking lax, and it was so fun. And she was just like, the Naval Academy doesn't get the benefits of the transfer portal and all that jazz. But she's like, it's so fun to watch people move because you now never know, even from the fall to the spring, teams can change.
Yeah.
And I just love it. I think coaches, what they have to do. Steffi,
sorry.
Turn off the notifications. What? Are you serious? Are you in the digital age? Also, we're looking up your nose.
Luckily, I got the bugs out earlier.
All right, everybody. It's been great. We'll see you next time we see you, which could be like in a day or a week. Bye.